Alright, what's up everybody, Rob here. So this is a response video to Matt Easton at Scholagladiatoria. Mr. Easton, if you're watching this, big fan, love your work. One of my favorite channels, especially like the movie and TV fight reviews. Really awesome stuff. Really great channel, keep it up. Specifically, this is a reply to the video that was up a few months ago about maces, axes, and Warhammers and why they don't have hand protection. Now, the link is in the description below for anybody watching this. You can check out his video first, and then come back and watch mine. I guess you can get perfect context as to what's going on here. Now, I have nothing particular to complain about. Every point that was raised in that video was perfectly acceptable. I have no fault in it. Not that I'm particularly knowledgeable. I'm more of an enthusiastic amateur at this particular subject. But I just figured this is more of a continuation rather than a criticism. All right, so just to give you a brief recap, the big reason why, two big reasons why swords had handguards on them and axes and warhammers and maces did not is for parrying purposes. Now you have an axe here. This is a tomahawk, but close enough to a European style axe. The weight is centered at the head of it. Now it is a fairly nimble weapon, but not nearly as much as a sword. So I mean, I could parry with it, I guess, a little bit. But it's really not designed for a parry and a riposte. It's really more of, just a straight chop, straight concussion, direct hit type of weapon. I'm not really going to be doing too much movement with it, for lack of a better term. So with a sword, you're going to be doing more parrying, and that means your hands are vulnerable. As your hands are vulnerable at that point, you would want extra protection. Therefore, increased hand protection was necessary, whereas this sort of weapon really didn't really need it. The other reason, of course, is armor. If you're using something like a mace or a warhammer, more than likely it would be on a battlefield. It's not really something that people walk around with day to day. So, on a battlefield context, people using a mace or a warhammer would probably be knights in plate armor. They would have gauntlets or some sort of hand protection, and so they didn't need the extra, the cross guard and, some sort of a comprehensive hilt, a complex hilt that, protects the hand. It really wasn't necessary. But things like rapiers, cutlasses, sabers would be worn pretty much on the hip by gentlemen walking around town. It would be used as almost as much a fashion statement as it was a practical weapon. Not to say that they weren't necessarily practical, but it was also, for the man about town, not necessarily a purely martial weapon, a purely martial tool. Again, that makes perfect sense. I have no particular complaints with that. Sure, makes perfect sense there. This really, though, is kind of my opinion as to why something like this wouldn't have any kind of hand protection. This is just my thoughts on it, and yeah, here we go. Alright, so I have a sword here. This is just a wooden katana. I used to do kohapto, which was notice the belts in the back. I used to do junki hapkido. They did kohapto as well, which is sort of like Japanese sword forms converted to a Korean style. I don't know. It's really just sword forms. There was no sparring or dueling or anything like that involved, but whatever. In any case, wooden sword, they wouldn't let the beginners touch metal ones yet. In any case, the important thing to know is that the handle of a sword, when it's in your belt, normally wouldn't be tucked into a belt directly like this. It would probably be on a ring or on a scabbard that attaches to the belt, whatever details. Point is, the hand grip, the part that I hold on to, is above my belt line. So if I need to access this quickly, it's right there, ready to go. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The blade of the weapon is below the belt line, and because swords are thin, it doesn't really obstruct anyway coming out. Alright, now let's just pretend here for a second that the blade is the handle, and the business end is, everything down here. Okay, so you have a handguard beneath the belt line. I go to draw it, and it gets stuck. Now you might be thinking, well, that's pretty obvious. Well, yes, it is obvious, and that's why swords were stored with the belt, with the handguard above the belt line. Yes, obviously, that's... Now, as far as the size of the guard or the hand protection or whatever you have going on up here, it could be really any size, any type. I mean, you have, basket hilt swords with gigantic, basket going all the way around the, almost completely encasing the hand. This thing, this little disc guard here, could be the size of a dinner plate for all it functionally matters. Now that might affect the use of the sword in as far as fighting with it, but as far as, drawing it, it's not going to impede it in the slightest capacity. Now you're probably thinking, Robert, what does that have to do with axes and maces? Well, actually it's the same idea. Now the business end of the sword is above my belt line, the handle is below. Now I can just grab here real quick and release the weapon, and it's ready to go. Now, because of the nature of an axe or a warhammer or a mace or anything like that, the business end, the concussive end, is stored above the belt line, and that's for easier access. I can smoothly draw this out, and I'm ready to go. Now, the question is, what if I have it the other way around? It obviously wouldn't work. So I'm here, I try to draw this out. Obviously, it's the head of the axe is going to get caught. Same thing with a mace or a warhammer. Well, now think about it this way. No matter which side you have up or down, whether the blade is on this side or on this side, if there's a guard here, even just a simple little disc guard, it's going to get in the way. I won't be able to draw this effectively. It simply wouldn't work. And even if it's connected to a ring separate to my belt, it's really the same idea. I wouldn't be able to draw the weapon. And now a little bit of context here. Most axes and maces, warhammers, things of that nature would be secondary weapons. Pole arms of some kind would be honestly the most common type of weapon. These would be backup weapons. So if you have a knight on horseback using, say, a lance, a couched lance, and he charges directly into his enemy, an enemy formation, the lance breaks, or it gets wrenched, impaled into a body, and it gets, stuck there, and he has to let go, and he needs a secondary weapon. He needs to be able to draw very quickly and in. He doesn't have time to be fumbling, trying to maneuver a handguard around his belt. I was thinking, how would you make a handguard actually work with something like this? I was thinking some sort of series of, like, you can tie it on or something like that, but then if you were tying it on, it'd be bouncing off, which would just, every step you take would be bouncing off you and smacking into your leg. It'd be really annoying. And again, on in a battlefield context, you need to be able to have this on you and ready to go. Now you could probably have it in something like I was thinking like a holster or something like that, something like a bag of some kind that you can have on your hip. Maybe that'll work. I don't know if anything like that existed. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong in there, but there you go. But really, yeah, just that simple. A weapon like this would need to be drawn very quickly, usually in an emergency, and the person had to be ready to fight with it pretty much instantaneously, usually not under the best of circumstances, where he has a chance to, sit there and concentrate on fumbling with this thing. It's got to be just, one solid motion and ready to go. I guess this all comes down to, some sort of a variant of Occam's razor. The simple solution is usually the best. Now, if a mace or warhammer or an axe did have handguard, yes, that would provide a tremendous amount of extra protection to you. There's nobody that can really deny it, and I'm sure people in the Middle Ages and into the early modern era would have been more than happy to, if it was convenient to do so, put a handguard of some kind, like a basket hilt or something like that, on a mace or a warhammer. Sure, absolutely. They were smart people. I mean, they could put it on a sword. I don't think they would not put it on a mace because of, I don't think they would not do that. So really, though, I just think it comes down to sheer practicality, the ability to draw the weapon and use it effectively when it's most critically needed. It's really just that simple. Now, we oftentimes, I do this as well, I'm hardly guilty of this. I think when we have a paradigm of some kind, whatever it is, in this case of weapons, why are weapons shaped a certain way, or why does it have this particular feature and not that particular feature, we automatically go with combat functionality, how it would work in the heat of the moment. We have to understand that weapons have to have certain advantages outside of combat, or outside of just, having the weapon in hand and swinging it. You have to be able to access it quickly, you have to be able to store it properly, you have to be able to move around with it, you have to have your hands free, a whole bunch of other factors. It's not just, okay, a duel, ready to go, both sides are here, ready, and, swing. There has to be some sort of, we have to think in terms of context. That's pretty much it. Just something I threw together. More videos will be coming out eventually. Hopefully I'll have something out before Halloween. Hit the like and subscribe button. Share this with your friends if you have any. If you don't have friends, share it with your enemies. There you go. If you didn't like it, share it with your enemies. Seriously, what kind of torment is it? You know, it's great. You can torment them with, you know, making them look at me. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So hit the like and subscribe button. Help the channel grow as much as you can. And that's it. Right. Have a good day. Or don't. Do whatever you like. See you later.